I bought my ranch for peace, not drama. After 20 years in construction, I wanted wide skies, the sound of cattle lowing in the evening, and the kind of quiet where you can hear the wind slip through the pines. My ranch sat on the edge of suburbia, a few hundred acres left in my family from my grandfather's days. Over the decades, the town had grown closer, sprouting gated communities and manicured cul-de-sacs right up against my fence line. That's where she came from, Karen, the self-proclaimed president of the new HOA that bordered my east pasture. She wasn't a neighbor in the friendly sense. She was an invader in pearls, forever trying to push her suburban kingdom further onto my land. At first, it was small things, complaints about my cattle wandering too close to their neighborhood park, demands that I maintain my gravel drive to match their asphalt streets. I ignored her. But then she found my gate. The gate stood tall and heavy, forged from steel and wood by my own hands. It was the line between their world and mine. Karen hated it. She said it ruined the neighborhood aesthetic. One afternoon, I came home to find the gate wide open, the chain cut clean. Tire marks carved through the dirt. Someone had driven through onto my ranch road. My stomach dropped as I followed the tracks, straight past my barn, right through the middle of my hayfield. At the end of the trail, I saw her Lexus SUV parked smugly in the shade of one of my oak trees. Karen herself stood outside in designer sunglasses, sipping from a travel mug like she owned the place. "What in God's name do you think you're doing?" I demanded. She gave a dismissive wave. "Shortcut. The main road is so congested this time of day. This way is faster. This isn't a road. This is my ranch." "Oh, don't be dramatic," she said, brushing invisible dust from her blazer. "It's just land. And honestly, it would be safer for everyone if you left the gate open. We've been talking about improving community access." My jaw clenched. "Close my gate again, Karen, or we're going to have a problem." Of course, she didn't listen. Within a week, the tracks multiplied. Not just her Lexus now, but other cars from the HOA cutting through, turning my pasture into a thoroughfare. My land was becoming their shortcut. I reinforced the gate with a heavier lock and camera. 2 days later, the lock was gone, bolt cutters left on the ground like a calling card. The footage showed Karen herself, smiling while her teenage son cut the chain. I called the sheriff. Deputies came out, took my statement, watched the footage. They shook their heads. "We'll file it, but unless you catch her in the act again, it's hard to press charges. Says here she's claiming it's a community easement." That was a lie. My deed showed no such thing. But Karen was clever, always twisting rules, always saying the magic words HOA policy, as if that gave her the right. The breaking point came on a rainy Friday. I found the gate completely smashed, one hinge bent, wood splintered across the dirt. A whole convoy of SUVs had churned through, leaving ruts knee-deep in the mud. My hay barn roof leaked from where a tire had clipped the gutter. My cattle spooked, one breaking a leg when it slipped near the ravine. I had to put that steer down myself, and the sight of it made something snap inside me. Enough was enough. I sat at my kitchen table that night, coffee steaming, papers spread out, my deed, the survey map, and the sheriff's useless incident reports. Across from me sat my neighbor Jake, a wiry Vietnam vet who'd lived down the road since before either subdivision existed. "She's not going to stop," Jake muttered, shaking his head. "People like her only understand consequences." I nodded slowly. "Then maybe it's time she got some." That's when the plan began forming. Not violence, not threats, but a trap. One that would make Karen think twice before ever touching my gate again. Over the next week, I rebuilt the gate, bigger, stronger. I sunk steel posts 3 feet into the ground, welded a frame no SUV could budge. Then came the trick. Behind the gate, just out of sight, I dug a shallow trench and lined it with heavy timbers, covered in dirt and grass. From the road, it looked harmless, but anyone who tried to ram through would find their front tires swallowed whole. For good measure, I rigged motion-activated floodlights and a speaker system. The moment someone crossed the gate line without my code, the lights would flare, and a recording of a shotgun racking would boom across the pasture. It wasn't illegal. It was deterrence. And it was perfect. It didn't take long. Saturday evening, I sat on my porch with Jake, sipping beer, waiting. Right on cue, headlights appeared. Karen's Lexus. She didn't even slow down. The SUV barreled forward, smashed against the gate with a metallic screech, then lurched as the front wheels sank deep into the hidden pit. Her horn blared, headlights flaring wildly against the steel posts. Then came the floodlights, blinding white. The shotgun sound blasted from the speakers. Karen screamed. I walked down the drive, calm, steady, boots crunching on gravel. She was pounding the horn, shrieking into her phone. "You've gone too far this time," she yelled when she saw me. "This is illegal." "You'll be sued for everything you own." I leaned against the post, arms folded. "On the contrary, you've just committed trespassing, property damage, and attempted theft of access. All on camera." Her face went pale. The deputies arrived within 20 minutes. Karen tried to spin her story about easements, community safety, how I was endangering residents. But the footage from my cameras told the truth. The smashed gate, the trench, the tire tracks from weeks of trespassing. The sheriff shook his head. "Karen, you're under arrest for criminal trespass and property destruction." The sight of her in handcuffs, shrieking about her HOA rights, was something I'll never forget. By the time court came around, I had everything documented: damages, vet bills for my injured steer, repair costs. The judge sided with me completely. Karen was fined, barred from ever stepping foot on my ranch again, and her HOA ordered to reimburse me for damages. Word spread fast. The shortcut was closed for good. The gate stood tall, untouched. And my ranch returned to the quiet I'd built it for. And as for Karen, let's just say she doesn't drive past my place anymore. Sometimes revenge isn't about fists or fury. Sometimes it's about patience, planning, and letting people trap themselves with their own arrogance. Karen thought she could own my land with her rules and shortcuts. Instead, she learned there are lines you don't cross, especially ranch gates.